Warning: viewer discretion is advised. The following video contains mature content. Some of this video may contain themes that some viewers may find disturbing. Some of this video is intended for mature audiences only. Trigger. Warning: also, some of this video may contain flashing lights and strobe effects.
King Rowan, blowing on his fingers after touching a hot kettle. By the saints, Genevieve, you are up before the roosters. And, smiling? I half expected to find you packing a dagger or plotting my untimely demise in your sleep.
Princess Genevieve, softly chuckling, taking a small piece of dried apple from a prep table. Do not tempt me, father. But no, I slept surprisingly well. The weight of indecision is heavier than any crown, it seems. Once the choice was made last night, the air felt lighter.
King Rowan, turning to her, his face softening with immense relief. You have a stronger heart than I, my girl. I spent the night staring at the canopy, feeling like the worst father in Windenburg. Marrying you to the Thornevales. It is a bitter draught to swallow. He has the temperament of a badger.
Princess Genevieve is a tyrant. Let us not mince words. But he is a tyrant with 40,000 spears currently marching toward our border. If my vows can turn those spears around, then I will wear his ring like a suit of armor.
King Rowan, stepping closer, resting a heavy, calloused hand on her shoulder. It should not be your burden to bear. I should have built stronger alliances, fortified the walls.
Princess Genevieve, interrupting gently, placing her hand over his. And let our people burn while you tried. No, we made the right choice. Besides, Adrian thinks he is inheriting a quiet little bird to cage. He has no idea that the blood of the Dragon Kings runs in my veins. I fully intend to make his court much more ... interesting.
King Rowan, a genuine booming laugh escapes him, echoing off the stone walls. Ha! God help the man, he truly does not know what is coming. You will have his advisers bowing to you within a month, and his treasury reallocated to the peasants by winter.
Princess Genevieve, exactly. So, no more long faces, your majesty. Today we feast. Tomorrow we plan the logistics of a royal alliance. And right now, I want to know where the cook hid the honey butter.
King Rowan, grinning, looking around the empty kitchen. If I know old Martha, it is behind the flour sacks. Let us pillage the pantry before she arrives and scolds us both. King Rowan, wiping a trace of honey from his thumb onto his tunic. As much as I wish we could hide in this kitchen all morning, Genevieve, the sun is up. The lords and elders are already gathering in the great hall.
Princess Genevieve, setting down her piece of bread. Her expression turning serious but remaining calm. They know of my decision. Then.
King Rowan, nodding slowly. They do, and they need to hear it directly from you. Go to your chambers and dress in your finest court attire, the sapphire silk perhaps. We must present a front of absolute certainty and strength to the kingdom.
Princess Genevieve, standing up from the wooden stool and straightening her skirts the color of statehood. Very well. We'll make sure they see a willing diplomat, not a sacrificial lamb.
King Rowan, good girl, wash the flour from your hands, gather your wits, and meet me at the dais in an hour. We will lay out the terms of the betrothal, draft the treaty to halt Adrian's march, and show our people that peace is secure.
Leaving the warmth of the kitchens behind, the princess ascends the winding stone steps to her private chambers. The weight of a kingdom's fate sits upon her young shoulders, yet her stride does not falter. As she approaches her dressing table, her eyes fall upon a polished silver mirror, a relic belonging to the late Queen Raven. To the casual observer, Genevieve appears entirely alone, but in the quiet sanctity of this room, the veil between this world and the next grows thin.
Princess Genevieve, sitting before the glass, unpinning her morning braids. I did it, mother. I gave father my word. By winter, I will be Lord Adrian's son, Philip's queen, and our borders will be safe from his iron legions.
Queen Raven's spirit. A soft, shimmering reflection appears in the silver glass. Her voice like the rustle of autumn leaves. I know, my brave little bird. I watched you in the kitchens. Your father sees only your sacrifice. But I see your strategy. You always did possess a mind for chess.
Princess Genevieve, lifting a heavy brush, her reflection overlapping with her mother's image. I think I am a lamb being led to the slaughter. Let them. Adrian expects a fragile princess to weep in his high towers. He does not know that a queen's duty is not just to bleed for her people, but to rule.
Queen Raven's spirit. Smiling gently, a phantom touch seeming to brush against Genevieve's hair. He is a brute, Genevieve. He rules by fear, and fear is a brittle foundation. Do not let him break your spirit. Wear your sapphire silk like a coat of mail today. Show the council the blood of the Dragon Kings.
Princess Genevieve, tying the final silk laces of her gown, her gaze hardening with fierce resolve. The sapphire silk is pinned, and my resolve is set.
King Rowan, staring at her in awe, a look of profound pride replacing his worry. By the saints, Genevieve, you look every bit the queen your mother was. The lords are murmuring inside, anxious and fearful, but your presence alone will silence them.
Princess Genevieve, offering a reassuring smile.
King Rowan, lead the way, my brave girl.
The grand meeting in the great hall had been a den of wolves. For hours the lords and elders peppered the princess with sharp doubts, questioning her youth, her compliance, and the true intentions of the ruthless Lord Adrian. Now the court finery has been cast aside for worn leather trousers. In the privacy of the training grounds, Genevieve translates her simmering fury into lethal precision.
Princess Genevieve, slamming her practice blade against a wooden training dummy with a resounding crack. Are you certain he will keep his word, Princess? Is your virtue a fair price for a truce, your grace? As if I am bartering sacks of grain at the market.
She pivots sharply, parrying an imaginary strike from a phantom opponent, her boots kicking up damp earth.
Princess Genevieve, lunging forward, driving the wooden sword into the dummy's chest. Lord Cassian dared to ask if I would weep on the journey to the eastern border. Weep. I am saving his lands, his crops, and his sniveling sons from the slaughter. They sit in their cushioned chairs, demanding peace, yet they recoil when the bill arrives.
She sheathes the blade in one fluid motion, snatches up her recurved bow, and notches a fresh arrow. Her breathing slows, her focus narrowing entirely onto the distant red bullseye.
Princess Genevieve, drawing the bowstring back to her ear, speaking through clenched teeth. They doubt Adrian and Philip, and they are right to do so. He is a monster. But they doubt me even more. They think I am a prize to be traded, a quiet little bird to sit in his cage.
She releases the string. The arrow streaks through the gray morning air, splitting her previous arrow directly down the center of the target.
Princess Genevieve, lowering the bow, a cold, dangerous smile breaking across her face. Let them doubt. By the time Adrian realizes, I am not the prize, but the player, it will be far too late for him.
King Rowan, rubbing his tired eyes, his voice heavy with the weight of the crown. The silence in this room is a mercy after today. I could still hear Lord Cassian's voice ringing in my ears during dinner. I'm sorry, Genevieve. I should have silenced him when he questioned your resolve.
Princess Genevieve, tracing the rim of her cup, her tone calm but sharp. Do not apologize, father. Cassian merely spoke aloud what half the council was thinking. Kay, look at me and see a sacrificial lamb. They do not think I have the stomach for Adrian's court.
King Rowan, leaning forward, his expression etched with deep worry. And do you? It is one thing to face a room of shouting northern lords who respect our bloodline. It is entirely another to sit at a table with Philip. He rules by fear, Genevieve. He eats his own advisors for breakfast if they cross him.
Princess Genevieve, meeting his gaze, her eyes fierce in the firelight. Then, it is a good thing I have spent my life watching you rule with strategy, not just brute force. Though Thornvales expects a frightened bride who will weep in the corners of his keep, he does not expect someone who has memorized his trade routes, his troop movements, and his weaknesses.
King Rowan, a faint, bittersweet smile breaking through his exhaustion. You sound exactly like your mother when she was backing an enemy into a corner. But as your father, my heart breaks. I am bartering my daughter's freedom to buy this kingdom a single winter of peace.
Princess Genevieve, reaching across the table to place her hand over his firm grip. You are not bartering me. I am choosing to go. This marriage is not a surrender, father. It is an invasion from the inside. Just ensure our armies are ready when I send the signal that Adrian's guard is down.
King Rowan, squeezing her hand tightly, the worry fading into profound pride. They will be ready, my brave girl. Every sword in this kingdom will answer your call. King Rowan, nodding slowly, his expression darkening as he looks toward the frosted windows. Then sleep well tonight, my girl, for tomorrow brings the real trial. Adrian's vanguard arrives at dawn, and we must meet with the monster himself in the morning to finalize the treaty terms before the wedding bells can even ring.
The fire in the hearth crackles softly as Princess Genevieve sits at her mahogany vanity, unpinning her hair. In the mirror's reflection, the gentle spirit of Queen Raven, appearing as a comforting presence in her daughter's mind and memories, stands behind her, brushing out the long, dark tresses just like she used to.
Princess Genevieve, staring at her reflection, a heavy sigh escaping her lips. Tomorrow is the day, mother. In just a few hours, I have to look Lord Adrian in the eye and pretend I am a willing prize. Father is terrified for me, and honestly, so am I.
Queen Raven, smiling softly in the glass, you carry the blood of rulers who built this kingdom from the stone up.
Princess Genevieve, gripping the edge of the vanity, her jaw tightening, but Adrian is cruel. The lords think he will break me, or worse, use me to destroy everything father has worked for. What if I miss the opening? What if I fail to find his weakness?
Queen Raven, leaning down, her voice a soothing whisper in the quiet room. You will not fail. You have your father's sharp mind and my unyielding spirit. When you look at Adrian tomorrow, do not see a monster, see a man with flaws. A man who expects a victim. Let him see a quiet lamb, until it is time to show him the wolf.
Princess Genevieve, blinking back a tear, taking a deep breath as a calm resolve settles over her, a quiet lamb until the wolf wakes. I understand. Thank you, mother.
Genevieve tossed restlessly all night, her sleep haunted by her mother's warning to play the lamb until she could show the wolf. At dawn, the heavy thud of iron hooves in the courtyard broke her slumber. Lord Adrian had arrived. Her handmaidens moved quickly, bathing her and lacing her into a heavy gown of green silver-threaded brocade. Left alone for a final moment at her vanity, Genevieve stared at her reflection and took a steadying breath.
Princess Genevieve, whispering to her reflection, her hands gripping the edge of the glass, keep your head high. He wants a victim, but he is getting a reckoning. Okay? Be the lamb today, Genevieve. The wolf will have her turn.
She turned from the glass, her fear fully replaced by cold resolve, and swept down the grand stone staircase. King Rowan stood waiting at the heavy oak doors of the council chamber, his face pale and etched with exhaustion. He turned to her, his breath catching.
King Rowan, reaching out to squeeze her hands, his voice tight with emotion. You look beautiful, my brave girl, but your hands are ice. We can still call this off. We can fight them.
Princess Genevieve, offering a fierce, reassuring smile, pulling her shoulders back. No, father, we fight them from the inside. Let us go face the monster and sign his treaty.
Duke Adrian, leaning back, swirling a cup of wine with a cruel smirk, let us not sour the morning. Rowan, My son expects a flawless bride by noon, and our kingdoms expect a truce. But a marriage alone does not guarantee my goodwill. I want the Silver Mines land.
King Rowan, slamming his fist on the table, his eyes blazing. That land belongs to Lord Cassian. The silver mines were never part of our agreement, Adrian. If I force Cassian's people off that territory, they will rebel. The people of this kingdom will not stand for it. You are asking for a new war before the ink on our peace treaty is even dry.
Duke Adrian, leaning forward, his expression instantly turning cold and dangerous, then let Castian weep over his lost dirt. If I do not get those silver mines to fund my vanguard, the wedding is off, and my armies will march through your valley by nightfall. Choose your war. Rowan.
Princess Genevieve. The heavy doors swing open. She steps into the room, her silver-threaded brocade gown catching the torchlight. There will be no war. Duke Adrian. You will get your silver.
King Rowan, standing up, deeply alarmed. Genevieve, you should not be in here yet.
Princess Genevieve, walking calmly to the head of the table. Looking directly into Adrian's eyes, I have a solution for the silver mines. Lord Cassian keeps his ancestral land, and his people keep their homes. However, my dowry will include exclusive trading rights to 50% of the silver yielded from those mines. Shipped directly to your capital, tax-free, for the next 5 years. You get the wealth to fund your armies, and we keep our borders intact. Do we sign, or do you leave empty?
King Rowan, leaning over Adrian's table, placing both hands flat on the polished wood. You heard my daughter. The silver moves to your capital, but the land stays with my people. No blood is spilled, and your treasury is full. Do we have a deal, Adrian? Or do your armies truly prefer a grave over gold?
Duke Adrian, slamming his royal signet ring into the hot wax to seal the document. Then looking up with a chilling smile, we have a deal. Rowan, your daughter has a sharp mind. 50% of the silver, tax-free, will suffice. For now, let us prepare the wedding.
Adrian stood up, sweeping his heavy black cloak over his shoulders, and signaled for his vanguard guards to clear the room. As he walked past his chief commander in the hallway, out of earshot of the Northern King, Adrian leaned in and whispered through gritted teeth.
Duke Adrian, to his commander, eyes fixed straight ahead, let them think they won this round. Once the princess is isolated in our capital and the wedding bells stop ringing, we will use our new silver funds to arm the Western Battalion. Cassian's people won't know what. Hit them. I want that land by spring.
The heavy oak doors of King Malakor's temporary quarters slammed shut, leaving him alone in the dim room with only a single candle flickering on the desk. The chilling smile he had worn in the council chamber vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating sneer. He pulled a small, torn piece of parchment from his tunic and dipped his quill into a vial of thick black ink.
Duke Adrian, muttering to himself as the quill scratched aggressively against the paper, let the old fool Rowan celebrate his little victory. The girl thinks she brought them peace with her clever words, but she has only funded their demise.
He leaned closer to the candle's flame, writing rapidly in a tight, coded script meant only for the eyes of his most ruthless operative.
Duke Adrian, writing to Clay Lockhart, the treaty is signed. The princess is ours. She leaves for the capital tomorrow as my son's bride. While Rowan and Castian lower their guard to toast to this fragile truce, use the first shipment of tax-free silver to bribe the border sentries. By the time the spring thaw arrives, our Western Battalion must be positioned inside Cassian's borders. We will seize the silver mines land by force while his people sleep. Eliminate anyone who resists.
Adrian blew gently on the wet ink to dry it, rolled the parchment into a tight cylinder, and sealed it with a drop of generic black wax, leaving no trace of his royal crest. The 3-day journey to Duke Adrian's imposing Blackstone capital felt less like a wedding procession and more like a march to a fortress. Confined within her gilded carriage, Genevieve watched the vibrant green valleys of her home fade into the bleak ash-gray crags of the southern realm. Encircling her carriage at all times were the heavy armor and sharp spears of Adrian's vanguard, a constant reminder that she was now a prisoner of a fragile peace. When they finally arrived, the grand cathedral was already filled to capacity with stone-faced southern lords, wealthy merchants, and sycophants looking to curry favor with the crown. The wedding ceremony itself passed in a dizzying blur of heavy incense, droning prayers, and freezing vows. Standing at the high altar next to Adrian's arrogant and dismissive son, Lord Philip, Genevieve played her part flawlessly. She kept her head bowed, her responses quiet, and her posture fragile, playing the compliant lamb perfectly. When Philip slid the heavy gold band onto her finger, sealing her fate, she did not flinch, keeping her fierce resolve locked deep inside. The suffocating tension only shifted when the heavy iron-reinforced doors of the Grand Palace Hall swung open for the wedding feast. Hundreds of rowdy guests cheered, drinking deep from overflowing silver chalices as lute music and loud laughter echoed off the high vaulted ceilings. Placed at the head table on the raised dais, pinned between her sneering new husband and a smugly satisfied Duke Adrian, Genevieve kept a polite smile plastered on her face, while her eyes carefully scanned the sea of unfamiliar, hostile faces in the crowd. Then, near the back of the hall, her breath caught in her throat. Seated in the shadows, disguised in the modest traveling cloaks of the lower-ranking northern delegates, was Lord Troy Lockhart, her true love. He had risked everything, braving execution just to infiltrate the enemy capital and be near her. As their eyes locked across the rowdy, crowded room, the noise of the feast seemed to vanish. Troy raised his goblet in a subtle, aching toast, his gaze burning with an unspoken promise of rescue and fierce loyalty. Genevieve's grip tightened on the silk of her gown, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. She was trapped deep within the wolf's den, but she was no longer fighting this war alone. The sudden warmth of a hand on her shoulder broke the spell, tearing Genevieve's gaze away from Troy before anyone else could notice the connection. She turned to find King Rowan standing beside her chair, his face a mask of polite celebration, though his eyes were sharp and urgent. With a quiet word of excuse to the oblivious Lord Philip, the Northern King subtly guided his daughter away from the high table, stepping into the relatively quiet shadow of a massive stone pillar.
King Rowan, leaning close, his voice a low, hurried whisper beneath the roar of the music. Genevieve, keep your eyes on me and smile as if we are merely sharing a father's blessing. I saw him too. Troy is here, in the back row.
Princess Genevieve, her heart hammering against her ribs, keeping her face perfectly serene. I know. I saw him. Father, he shouldn't have come. Okay? If Adrian's guards recognize the Northern Lord of his status here without an invitation, they will execute him as a spy before the night ends.
While King Rowan and Genevieve whispered in the shadows of the stone pillar, Duke Adrian quietly rose from the head table. Slipping away unnoticed under the cover of the raucous music and clinking chalices, the Bad King ducked into a dim, secluded alcove just behind the grand tapestry of the hall. Waiting for him in the darkness was his premier operative. The spy lowered his hood, revealing a face that would have sent a shockwave through the northern ranks. It was Clay Lockhart, the ruthless older brother of Genevieve's true love, Troy.
Clay Lockhart, leaning closer to Adrian, his voice dropping to a dangerous hiss. There is a greater threat in this hall, Your Grace. My brother Troy has infiltrated the northern delegates. I saw the way Genevieve looked at him. She is still in contact with him, and Troy has a plan to steal her away from your son before the week is out.
Duke Adrian is low, wicked grin spreading across his face. His eyes gleaming with malice steal her away. Let the young fool try. This changes nothing. Vanguard's spiderage improves it.
Clay Lockhart, confused, raising an eyebrow. You want me to let him take her?
Duke Adrian, gripping Clay's shoulder with a crushing force, I want you to watch his every move and inform me of everything. The moment he attempts to abduct my son's bride, it will be labeled an act of supreme northern treason. I will use their little romance as the perfect excuse for war. Rowan's treaty will be void, and we will march our armies straight into Cassion's territory to seize those silver mines by force. Let them play their game, Clay. They are walking right into my trap.
The festive roar of the grand hall grew louder, but around King Rowan the atmosphere remained as cold as a northern winter. A tight circle of anxious northern lords and advisers closed in around their sovereign, their eyes darting nervously toward the heavily armed vanguard guards patrolling the perimeter. Lord Cassian leaned forward, his knuckles white against his silver chalice, voicing the question that weighed heavily on every northern heart. He asked Rowan if this marriage would truly bring an end to the bloodshed, or if they had simply sacrificed Princess Genevieve to a den of monsters for a fleeting illusion of peace. Rowan kept a forced, polite smile plastered on his face for the benefit of the watching southern court, but his voice was a grim, fierce whisper. He reminded his lords that the 50% silver trade compromise had successfully secured their borders and protected Cassian's people from displacement. The treaty was signed, and by all legal accounts, the war was over, provided Adrian honored his word. Yet, the grim shakes of his advisers' heads revealed the truth everyone knew. The bad king had never met a piece of parchment he wouldn't burn for more power. Rowan's grip tightened on his own goblet as he issued a final quiet command to his men to keep their blades sharp and their scouts alert, reminding them that Genevieve was not just a bride, but their eyes and ears inside the enemy's walls. Following the feast, Genevieve was escorted to her breathtaking new quarters, filled with fresh white lilies and warm candlelight. Once the servants left, Prince Philip closed the door softly. Dropping the cruel public facade everyone feared, he offered a gentle, tired smile and stepped back to give her space. He promised that she was entirely safe within these walls, explaining that his harsh demeanor was a necessary act to survive his father's ruthless rule. He assured her that she would have absolute freedom and peace here, leaving Genevieve completely astonished. The arrogant monster the kingdom dreaded was an act. Her new husband was proving to be a kind, protective ally in a dangerous court. Duke Abraham's furious voice echoed sharply down the long, torch-lit corridor of the Lockhart estate, forcing all three men to stop dead in their tracks just outside the study, near the grand stone staircase. The servants kept their heads down as they hurried past, sensing the storm brewing between the Duke and his sons.
Duke Abraham, spinning around to face his youngest son, his voice a harsh, terrified whisper as he pointed an accusing finger. Have you completely lost your mind, Troy? Slipping into Adrian's capital in a peasant's cloak. If the vanguard guards had recognized you at that feast, your head would be on a pike right now. You must leave the princess alone. She's a married woman now. The treaty is signed, the ink is dry, and your obsession will bring Adrian's wrath down on our entire house.
Troy Lockhart, standing rigid against the cold stone wall, his jaw clenched and eyes burning with unyielding defiance. I will not back down, father. Genevieve didn't choose this marriage. She sacrificed her entire life and freedom just to save our borders and protect Cassian's people. I saw the look in her eyes across that crowded hall tonight. She is a prisoner trapped in a den of wolves. I have a plan to get her out. I have the men ready, and I am going through with it with or without your blessing.
Clay Lockhart, stepping up beside them into the torchlight, a deceptive, encouraging smile on his face as he casually leaned against a pillar. Father, calm yourself before the guards hear you echoing through the halls. I actually think Troy is right this time. Why should we let the Southern Kingdom keep our most precious northern royal jewel? Why let Adrian win?
Duke Abraham, staring at Clay in complete disbelief, his chest heaving as he gestured wildly between his two sons. You side with this utter madness. Clay, you are his older brother. You are supposed to have the sense to stop him from getting us all slaughtered, not fan the flames of his treason.
Clay Lockhart, placing a warm, supportive hand on Troy's shoulder, secretly gloating inside over how perfectly this played into Adrian's trap. I am just looking at the grander picture, Father. Troy has a brave heart and a solid strategy. If he truly believes he can slip the princess out of that black stone capital undetected, we should encourage him, not cower in fear. Go get your woman, brother. Plan the escape down to the last detail, and don't let anyone stop you. I'm right behind you.